Self-Centered Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Weesh Bang. Welcome back to the Self-Centered Leadership Podcast, where the news that matters is made simple. I'm your host, Weesh Bang, and this is episode 24. Understand, these are just my thoughts and my views. This is just how I feel. It is okay to agree to disagree. Take it with a grain of salt. You do not have to hang on my every word. We all here for a good time, not a long time. So sit back and enjoy. Welcome back, y'all, and thank you so much for joining me. What mood am I in? It's just like I feel like my weeks are super long, but they also feel very short at the same time. So I'm just like, which one is it? It's like you feel like the days are coming quick and they're going by pretty fast, but it's just like, fuck, the weekends just don't seem long enough. And then mixed with the chaos of what we see on social media every day, it's like the world has literally gone mad. It's like every time you open up social media, it's some weird executive order that's just like ruining the world all over again. It's just like they're attempting to set us back 100 years, but at the same time, it's like, get with the program. No one is going back 100 years. It ain't going down like that this time. So the attempt only shows that this is clearly a mental illness. So what's new? Last week I sat down with a longtime friend of mine and we did an interview about her upcoming book, and something kind of stuck with me. I think we should have 3-day weekends. I think we should have the option of choosing between being off Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or choosing to be off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, I don't think that that's a big ask or a hard ask in any work setting. This way we get 2 full days to rest, and then we get that 1 day to kind of dedicate to activities, our family, or any type of hobbies that we want to do. And you don't feel as overwhelmed going back to work after your 3 days. Because when we have those 3-day holidays, I promise you, that is like some of the best rest or just calm moments that I feel. And I'm like, okay, I can really get into a 4-day work week and 3-day weekends. And it always leads me back to asking, why is quality of life treated like a threat in a capitalistic society? Why do the rich get uncomfortable when everyday people choose rest, enjoyment, and freedom over labor? Well, I have a dream, and it's very simple. My dream is that we all create enough freedom for ourselves and our families so we can stop living just to work and start living to enjoy more moments together. So my question to you is, if we had a 3-day weekend, how would you spend your extra day? Would you spend it resting, creating, spending time with loved ones, or something else? I want to hear your vision. You can post a response or you can call the voicemail at 404-500-8941 and tell me your vision on what freedom looks like to you. Now, let's get into it. First on my list of things to discuss today is AI in the classroom and how teachers can navigate AI as opposed to fighting it. So let's talk about it. AI in the classroom is to be expected. It's 2025. These kids not only are they tech savvy, but they are highly intelligent, and technology has been their saving grace since they were all infants. Since this generation that's in school now has had a iPad, cell phone, or some sort of gaming console in their hands since they were born. So of course, we have to expect that as technology advances, so will these children. And just like when we were in high school, if there was anything that was new that could help us pass our classes, we were trying to tap into it. So in this case, because of how big AI is and its large scale, I feel as if instead of fighting AI, maybe teachers need to start appealing to the students by trying to understand it. And let me get my AI disclaimer off real quick. I support the advancement and responsible use of artificial intelligence, but not at the expense of rural communities, clean water sources, or sustainable energy. Progress should not come with damage to our environment, surges in power demand that drive up costs, or the neglect of small towns or vulnerable populations. True innovation must benefit everyone, not just a select few. And with that being said, it's important to appeal to the students, show them what it is, how it works, and why it's not a shortcut worth taking. And we have to understand the conditioning that we've had over the past 20 years. Where on social media, the internet, we're using it everywhere. Virtual game rooms has limited our human interactions. We are very tapped in to the cyber world more than we ever notice or even realize. And realistically, it's so hard for teachers to even put together a lesson plan to work with AI or teach the children how to work with AI because they are so stacked under policies and the state forcing them to use these robot like curriculums. And it truly reduces the student educational experience because if AI was a thing when I were in high school, I know for sure that my first experience with AI would be in the classroom with one of my teachers because back then teachers had a little bit more autonomy over their lesson plans. Or at least when I was in school, my teachers didn't care. They were constantly going off book and telling us about real life. And with these new policies and the way they're running school, the kids don't want to be there anymore. And, it looks like these teachers are being held hostage to these standards that don't serve them or their students. And so everyone's uncomfortable. No one's happy in the classroom anymore because of all these restraints. And it would be nice if teachers were free to actually teach and they can focus on building a rapport with their students. Like students will feel less compelled to tap in with AI incorrectly if their teachers were allowed to administer certain things in class so that they can understand. It's just like when teachers start incorporating the use of cell phones in classrooms, I saw a decline in kids just sitting on their phones anymore because the fear of getting in trouble was once removed. So now it's like I need my phone for class versus I'm gonna be on my phone playing all day. And that opens the door to building respect and building trust in the classroom because that dynamic matters. Because the more respect the students have for the teacher, the more seriously they take the work. I remember when we were students, our coolest teachers were the ones we respected the most. And they were able to get through to us more than the teachers that were strict. So, I mean, I think it's time that parents, teachers, and the school system work together to create a cohesive environment for the next generation because these kids are coming up are our next doctors, lawyers, politicians, business owners. They're the next up. So it is so important that we mold these minds the right way. So my question to you is, did you learn more from the teachers you respected or from the ones who just followed the script? Do we value teachers as educators or just as paper pushers for the system? I feel if teachers had less policy and curriculum to stick to, they could spend more time teaching, possibly grading in drafts and layering assignments that they can kind of go through with their students because it gives students the space to ask questions and it gives them the space to get feedback when they work in groups and bounce ideas off each other instead of rushing through a paper and just turning it in. One thing I loved about my capstone course in college was my teacher was very adamant, my professor was very adamant about us working in stages. And when we worked in stages, she graded everything in stages. And she stood in the classroom and she spoke to us and she gave us feedback and she came into our groups and sat with us and talked about what we needed to know or if we had any type of short sight, she was there and interacting with us every step of the way. And that really felt good because this was a big project that we were working on. And, it mattered. The entire class was our grade. And so for her to really focus in on being present for us to ask questions and get answers and feedback in real time was amazing. And it also builds harmony because if the students have to submit their work piece by piece, they're kind of forced to learn the material. And when you add presentations in video or in class, they have no choice but to explain their thought process. And it also builds confidence, pride in your work, and accountability because once you have to stand up in front of a room to present, now you have to put thought into it. Now you have to double check to make sure what you're saying is accurate. Now you're going to put more effort into getting your assignment done. And so for me, I feel that the work matters and the children will rise to the occasion if they have limited options to run away. And when we package it that way, it becomes, we can kind of present it as the difference between students learning versus outsourcing their brain to a machine. Me personally, my favorite professors weren't the ones who just assigned assignments and said, hey, here's your due date. I loved my professors who took time to lecture and go through assignments with us and talk to us and truly like just immerse themselves in the classroom to see where we were and how we were learning. And so the question we should be focusing on is how can classrooms be redesigned so students rely less on AI and more on their own critical thinking? AI is just a tool. It's not meant to do the work for you. And so many students think of it as a shortcut in a way just to get a grade without learning anything. I've been teaching my children that AI is a machine and it pulls from online sources and sometimes even makes stuff up. That means students blindly rely on it and they're not just cheating their assignment, they're cheating themselves. So, how do we balance using AI as a tool without letting it replace critical thinking? Should schools teach it as a part of the curriculum or keep it off limits completely? I'm saying at the end of the day, learning needs to be fun. That means creating classrooms where students are curious, engaged, and ready. And it starts with the conversation because how teachers teach today will shape how students use AI tomorrow. And they don't need to fight it. You can find ways to guide students' use of AI, but fighting it is only going to make the students rebel and want to seek it more. We have to stop looking at AI as a threat in that way and start considering it to be a tool that can be used as sort of like smart guidance or how it can be integrated in classrooms without letting it do the thinking for the students. So I want to challenge teachers and people who work in curriculum development or programs for students or schools. What lessons could be enhanced by AI rather than replaced? And could it help students brainstorm research or draft ideas while still holding them accountable for their own learning? And for any students out there that are listening, how do you use AI responsibly? When does it help and when does it hurt your own growth? Please drop your thoughts. If you could design the perfect AI assisted classroom, what would it look like? What rules would you put in place to make students still think freely for themselves? So we have to stop fearing AI and we have to teach these students how to use it wisely so that as they're learning and as technology is advancing around them, they're using it more as a tool versus a crutch. Okay? Okay. Let's pause for a moment because when you're dealing with incompetency, things change in real time. Right now, lawmakers under the Trump administration are pushing the One Big Beautiful Bill, a proposal with nearly $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts. Cuts that mean nursing homes closing, beds disappearing, and our elders left without a home, pushed out with nowhere to go. Some are even getting 30-day notices as I speak. Imagine your grandmother, your uncle, your own parents handed an eviction notice because the system decided they weren't worth the cost. That's the reality of this bill. So while you're listening, ask yourself, is this the kind of society we want? One that abandons the very people who built it. These lawmakers are cutting Medicaid. not just trimming budgets, but they're ruining lives and they're lining their own pockets. At the end of the day, how we care for our elders is the truest measure of who we are as a society. Don't just sit with this, speak on it, share it, and hold lawmakers accountable. Our elders deserve more than just cuts, they deserve to be cared for. And now, let's get back to the show. This one really tickled me, and I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it because I really don't like to highlight certain things that are already like we give some weirdos too much energy as it stands, and I try to avoid weird energy. But I had to highlight this because I realized that this is a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like this is something that has is like people think they have this one figured out. So Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to take shots at Jasmine Crockett, claiming she's disconnected from the black experience because she went to a private school. And when shit like this comes up, we have to unpack it because not only is it wrong, but it is a part of a bigger pattern of pushing myths to justify prejudice. And I'm just trying to figure out when did the black experience become synonymous with being poor or destitute? Like, what the fuck do people think when they say stupid shit like this? The first musty myth they love to push is the idea that the black American struggle as if black people are naturally supposed to be poor or uneducated. Are you fucking dumb? The struggle has never been who we are. It's always been a systemic force placed upon people for the color of their skin. It didn't have anything to do with qualifications, education, or skill set. It was the mere fact that you saw some beautiful ass people with some beautiful ass skin that aged backwards, that knew how to do shit you just could not figure out how to do, could put things together, could thrive under pressure, could survive through the worst of conditions and still found time to love each other and love on one another. And they said, oh my God, let's attack it. The mere fact that they had to lie that black people are inherently poor or uneducated just to justify oppression. Meanwhile, black scholars, thinkers, and leaders have shaped society in every single area: science, politics, art, engineering, environmental, every godforsaken thing you can think of. Black people have had a hand, a toe, a something in it. But this is the little white lie, and it's how racism keeps breathing. When your game plan is to paint someone as less than, so exploitation can feel excusable, you've already lost. Marjorie Taylor Hulk Hogan looking ass need to sit down somewhere and she need to go educate herself before she opens her mouth ever again. Cause not her not reading the bill, signing it, voting for the bill, and then getting upset about it after because she had no clue what was in it. Girl, you got more important things to worry about. At this point, we need to really lock in and focus and stop letting these people tell us that black excellence is an exception. Baby, it's the rule. And if that truth makes some people uncomfortable, that's their problem, not ours. And just like that, let's get into a spotlight on the 23rd annual Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. Every year, Martha's Vineyard transforms into a haven for storytelling, creativity, and black excellence. And the 23rd annual Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival was no exception. For 9 days, the island became more than a destination. It became a stage where voices that have too often been overlooked commanded attention, inspired reflection, and sparked conversations that matter. From screenings of powerful new films to intimate panels with trailblazing artists, the festival reminded us why representation matters. Imagine being in a room where the likes of Issa Rae, Mara Brockakil, Jennifer Hudson, and Michelle Obama gather, not just as celebrities, but as living proof of perseverance, vision, and the power of narrative. Each story shared, each panel discussion, each premiere was a testament to the creativity, resilience, and brilliance of the Black community. But Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival is more than glamour and glitz. It's a space where ideas take root, where young filmmakers find mentorship, and where communities are reminded that art is a tool for change. It challenges us to imagine a world where every story can be told, every voice heard, and every dream pursued without barriers. This festival is a celebration, absolutely, but it is also a call to action to support Black creators, to champion stories that move hearts and minds, and to never underestimate the impact of culture as a force for transformation. Martha's Vineyard may be an island, but the ideas it nurtures ripple across the world, inspiring generations to step boldly into their creativity, their purpose, and their power. Because when stories are elevated, communities are strengthened, and possibilities are limitless. Baby, I'm on one today. I am on one today because next up, we're going to talk about what the government did to the Black community. Hold, please. Fun fact: did y'all know that your mental health actually has its own blueprint? According to Dr. Raquel Martin's guide, there are four pillars that keep you grounded: boundaries, expectations, rules, and standards. Boundaries protect your peace. Expectations set the tone. Rules keep life structured, and standards, those are your non negotiables. Together, they shape how you live, love, and even how you let people treat you. So, next time you're checking in with yourself, ask: are my boundaries clear? Are my expectations fair? Do my rules make sense? And are my standards high enough to reflect my own worth? Today's mental health fun fact break is a reminder to protect your peace and to level up your life. Now, I want to get into something that we kind of take for granted and we don't talk about enough, like in our current state of living, because we kind of gotten complacent with where we are. We kind of focus less on how systemic racism was built into the ground that we walk on. And it was simply by bulldozing thriving Black communities to make way for highways. And it was the creation of government subsidized neighborhoods reserved for white families. And the craziest part about all of this is that it was strategic, it was very intentional, and it was by design. Because after World War II, there were thriving Black communities all over the country: Tulsa's Greenwood District, Durham's Haiti, Orlando's Paramore, Chicago's Bronzeville. They weren't just neighborhoods, they were self sustaining ecosystems with businesses, homes, schools, churches, and cultural centers. Communities where Black families could build wealth, support each other, and pass down opportunities. And it was destroyed, and highways were cut through them. Urban renewal was the ruse, and they bulldozed these neighborhoods under some so called excuse called the slum clearance, when these areas clearly were not slums. And for the families who lived there, many of them were forced out with little or no support. Some ended up in overcrowded, underfunded housing projects far from their jobs, schools, and communities that they built. Others had to rent in neighborhoods with less resources and higher rates of poverty and crime. Generations lost access to the wealth, stability, and opportunities those thriving communities had once offered. And despite all that, Black families did not disappear. They adapted, they persisted, and they rebuilt wherever they could. Communities survived, culture thrived, and resilience became a legacy in itself. The tyranny of white supremacy tried to erase that, but it couldn't erase spirits. It could not erase the heart and soul. And that unshakable strength, is the power within that keeps the coward inside of weak minds up at night, trying to move what cannot be moved. A people who refuse to be broken, a people who cannot be broken. And let's make that super, super, super clear. A people who cannot be broken. And that threat, that strength, is going to be exactly what causes those evildoers to self-destruct. The obsession with Black success and Black wealth always behooves me, because the government has never been shy about handing out the American dream to white families. They've never been shy about providing low interest home loans, new suburban developments. They've never been shy about being white only. Yet, black people that want to thrive are a threat. And wherever they can, they try their hardest to shut down any type of growth and development, which is crazy to me how it's been allowed. And honestly, allowed is strong wording because allowed would imply that black people were complicit or supported this. It wasn't just allowed, it was like a bully tactic. It was forced, not allowed. So I take that back. I won't say allowed, but it was definitely forced onto people. And because if you did try to fight back, they turned you into an enemy, like they do today. If you try to stand up for yourself, they try to bulldoze you. So it wasn't allowed. It was definitely forced upon people. We can never forget the redlining. We can never forget the racism that was attached to the GI Bill, where only white veterans were able to secure homes and not the black ones. We can never forget how they tried to lock black people out of home ownership and stability, and that how poverty was created and used to stigmatize black people as lazy, dangerous, and broken. We'll never forget that. And as we move forward in building a stronger tomorrow, we will have to work together. And it will take everyone who identifies in any way as a good human. This has nothing to do with race at this point in the game. If we're serious about eliminating racism and we're going to take race out of the equation, every person on this planet who identifies as a good person or a good human is going to have to be involved. They're going to have to be ready, willing, and able, and also very committed to eradicating anything that looks like, appears to be, or even has any type of resemblance to racism. In times like these, the world moves fast and shifts in ways we don't always expect. Trends change, systems shake, and nothing feels guaranteed. But one thing remains solid: awareness. Stay socially aware, stay focused, and keep building. Don't get lost in the noise or the distractions. The future belongs to those who keep their eyes open and their grind steady. Lock in, stay ready, and keep moving forward. And that's it for today, guys. If you have not checked out episode 25, part 1 of a 3-part drop, I'm interviewing a dear friend of mine, India Nicole. She's an author and she's speaking on her book that's coming out March 2026, The Never First Lady. Look forward to episode 26 coming soon. And I have another interview coming up on Friday with a very interesting young man that I've known for a very long time. So listen out for that as well. I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday, and I will be back with you guys soon.